Hello and welcome everyone. In today's video, let's learn from the greatest of all time, Magnus Carlsen, how to give a counter-attack against the fried liver attack. So in this game, Magnus Carlsen was playing as black against the Indian prodigy, Pranish, who was playing as white. Pranish started the game with e4, Carlsen replied with e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop c4, and Carlsen went for the move knight to f6. So whenever someone plays the knight to f6, in our last few videos, we have seen how to give a fried liver attack. You can just play a knight to g5, attacking the f7 square. To defend this, Carlsen went for his pawn to d5. Now after white captures on the d5 square, you can go knight a5. Bishop b5 comes with a check, and this is all normal theory. Here, most common move is to play the pawn to c6. He capture, you capture back, and there are a lot of options what white can do after this, and this requires a lot of knowledge and theory in this opening. But instead, Carlsen didn't go for the usual move. He didn't play his pawn to c6, rather he went for bishop to d7. Now bishop d7 is the second most common move played. Stockfish suggests that both of the moves are similar. Carlsen went for bishop to d7. Here, Pranish played his queen to e2, trying to give an attack to your e5 pawn that will also come with a check. So Carlsen defended that by playing his bishop to e7. Now we are not afraid about him capturing on the e5 square, because sooner or later you can go and get this back. Also, the queen is not only attacking the e5 pawn but also has to support this bishop on the b5 square. So if the queen captures on e5, then the bishop is lost. At this point, he cannot capture on the e5 square. Okay, so here Pranish first captured on the d7 square, exchanged the bishop, and then played knight to c3. Here, if you think for the black's idea, so black is actually successful. He has exchanged the light colored bishop of white, wherein now there's no bishop and no attack. You see, look at this knight. The knight is no longer attacking the f7 square. Also, it's kind of misplaced. If you push your pawn to h6, the knight has to go back, and when he goes back to the f3 square, you can give him attack further by pushing your pawn to e4, and then he'll have to go back on his home square. So overall, black is having a very good position over here. In the game, Pranish played knight to c3. There's a better choice that we can do. You can also play your queen to e5 and capture this pawn. In this video, we are going to have a look at both of these variations. Let's first see what happened in the game. So in the game, knight c3 was played. After knight c3, Magnus Carlsen captured on the d5 square. Knight captures it back, and now when queen captures this knight, we are having a fantabulous attack. We are attacking the g2 square, we are attacking the knight, and now if he needs to defend and he tries to go back on the f3 square with the knight trying to defend both of the square, then we can kick this knight off by pushing a pawn to e4, and the knight will have to go back on the g1 square. That's the only choice the knight will have. Here, Pranish found a move better than knight to f3, but that saved the game just for a while. That resulted into a worst endgame that he went on. He played his queen to f3. Now queen f3 gives an attack to the queen as well as to the f7 square. You cannot go and capture the knight on g5 square, as there is a counter attack on your queen. So capturing the queen is forced, and the knight captured it back. Here you can push your pawn to e4, give an attack to the knight. The time knight goes to the d4 square, Carlsen castled, giving an attack to this knight. Now this is a long game, but overall if you see this position, king is already safe. Black has castle. The knight and the bishop are doing a great job. This knight is still under attack, will have to defend somewhere. The king is in the center, and all the pieces are still on the home rank. And this bishop will have one or two more moves to get developed. So overall, black is having a good position. If you want to have a look at the complete game, then I have posted the link in the description box. You can have a look at it. We are now going to have a look at what if not knight to c3, and what if you capture on the e5 square with your queen. So after white captures on the e5 square, you can capture the pawn on d5 with your knight. Now, idea behind capturing on d5 square is to push your pawn on f6 and give an attack to both of these pieces. It would be a fork. So most common response that you can think from white is to capture on the g7 square with your queen. Now white would be thinking, okay, I got a beautiful attack there. I am winning so many pawns. Now here first black can simply castle and save the rook. Here if white again thinks that he can capture on the f7 square with his knight, and that is giving a double attack to the rook, to both the rooks. So where he is in a delusion. Black is completely winning in this position. Let's see how. This is actually the beginning of the end. Here you can play your bishop to f3, attack the queen. The queen will have to go back somewhere, and this is not just an attack on the queen, but it is also a discard attack to the knight. The time queen moves back, you can simply grab the knight and you will be a piece up. So queen goes back on the g3 square. Now instead of capturing the knight at this moment, first you can do an in-between move. You can give a check, play your rook to e8. The king will have to move. Now why are we doing this in-between move is because now after the king moves, he cannot castle. So we are actually destructing his castling. King moves on the d8 square, you can go and capture on the f7 square. Now let's quickly have a look at the further continuation of the game, how you can continue. White can here place pawn to d3, trying to open up this diagonal for the bishop so that the bishop or some of his pieces comes in the game. If you see, all the pieces are kind of stuck and white was only moving with his knight and the queen, and now the knight is also lost. Here there's only one passive piece in black's position, that is this knight on a5 square. So it's time to get your worst piece in the game. It is said that you should play your worst piece first. So there are three forcing ideas. You should give a check. If not check possible, then capture. No capture, then you can give a threat, CCT. But what is the fourth principle? The fourth principle says worst piece first. The piece on a5 square is actually passive, do not have much squares to go to. So you can bring that piece in the game. You can play your knight to c4. Now you might think, okay, this c4 square was under attack by the pawn. What if he captures your free knight? Okay, what if he captures your free knight? Then it is a checkmate. Knight to c3 attacks a double check to the king, and none of the piece can capture when it's a double check. So it's a checkmate. Well, now I have an interesting position for you. What if I tries to act smart and plays his queen to g4, giving you a check, and when the king moves, can capture the knight? I want you guys to think here as black and comment down your moves in the chat box. What would you do here as black? So this was all about the counter attack on the fried liver attack. If in case you have missed our last video, which was on how to give a fried liver attack, then the link is in the description box. You can go and check out on it. And now you have learned how to counter attack in Magnus Carlsen style. If you are liking our videos and you're finding it helpful, please subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. Thank you. I'll see you in the next video.